But let's quickly bring you our big focus this evening. We all love cheap travel in India. It's certainly cheaper than it has been in a long time. We all love the fact that there are so many airlines now in our country. Many of them have some of the youngest fleets in the world. But would you believe it if I told you that the situation in India is in fact quite dire? It's quite difficult. It is an increasingly challenging environment. What I am talking to you about is a report by the Center for Asia-Pacific Aviation. Now, there are lots of points which the report talks about. For example, if oil remains above $80 a barrel and the exchange rate is at 70 to 72 rupees, then we are in deep trouble as far as the aviation sector is concerned. There will be a dramatic deterioration in the financial outlook of the entire sector. In fact, that's been taking place since January 2018. So how does this affect individual airlines? Firstly, full service carriers could lose $1.75 billion to $2 billion in 2019. Three leading low-cost carriers are significantly better placed, but a full year loss cannot be ruled out for them at this stage. Now, these are considered headwinds. It may not yet be part of a downward cycle as far as the overall sector is concerned, though there are clearly concerns. A sustained oil at $80 a barrel plus could, however, could be the trigger for a downturn. Now, most carriers in India are not equipped to withstand cyclical downturns. They don't have money to in fact carry on with regular operations in terms of fuel costs, paying off fuel companies for more than a few weeks. Some airlines have even less cash easily available. Airlines have completely lost their pricing power as a result of the rapid influx of capacity. By that, too many planes, right? Too much capacity, and therefore everybody gets a seat. How can an airline actually make a profit? We've seen that there are significant declines in yields in the airlines. This has been a real concern which has been pointed out at the report. And it now appears that given the pace of aircraft inductions over the coming months, because our airlines have literally ordered thousands of aircraft, yields will likely remain at levels at which profitability domestically is completely elusive. Long-haul, low-cost services. That was a big dream. That look, we've got low-cost services in India. Why don't we have low-cost airlines traveling abroad? Well, these may be deferred because it's not going to work out financially for many of our airlines in the immediate runs. The airlines of India have a requirement to raise over $3 billion in capital. The new normal is going to be higher costs and excess capacity. Airline losses in 2019 projected to increase to $1.65 to $1.9 billion. Now, that is all a fairly scary picture. What can the government do? I'll come to that a little later. But I want to introduce my panel first. Kapil Kaul, the CEO of CAPA, joins us, the Center for Asia-Pacific Aviation. Thank you, Kapil, very much for being with us. He joins us on the phone line. Dinesh Trivedi, Lok Sabha MP and an aviation expert, joins us in his capacity more today as an aviation expert and as a pilot himself. Dheeraj Mathur, partner and leader of Aerospace and Defence Partners at PricewaterhouseCoopers, with us also. Kapil, let me come to you first with a question which, a lot of our viewers will want to ask. I mean, all these numbers are scary numbers. All these numbers mean so many things. But for the millions traveling on our airlines, is this fare structure going to continue?
Well, good evening, Vishnu. Thank you for inviting me. As you had indicated in our report that there was a very favorable environment since last 3 to 4 years, which resulted in airlines recording, very high profits like Indigo. We had almost a miraculous turnaround by SpiceJet from a loss-making structure to a continuously profitable structure till the first quarter results were announced. Even Go Air has been consistently profitable. And airlines like Air India, Jet, and other two carriers have reported much better numbers, even though they were loss-making. But they have reported much better numbers because of the favorable environment. Now we have in the last 6 months, we had a reversal of the physical situation of airlines. Number one, The fuel is now about 82. Rupee is about closer to now 75. It may settle at 72 to 72. And more important, and that impacts both the cost significantly. But what is challenging is that the kind of capacity that's coming in is going to completely erode pricing power, suppress yields significantly. So the airlines have to adjust to a new normal. They had a different normal 3-4 years back where rupee was almost touching 60, oil was 45, 50, under 60 mostly. In certain cases, touched 30 as well. Capacity inductions was very moderate because of certain induction challenges by Indigo and Goya. So there was a favorable environment. Now the environment is different.
Okay.
By the time the airlines adjust to this new normal of high-cost environment, suppressed yields, and possibly a very, very uncertain external environment globally as well, which could impact financing flow.
Okay, Kapil, I just want
to medium term.
Sure, Kapil, I want to bring in Dinesh Trivedi. Dinesh bhai, what to you are some of the biggest concerns which we have listed? These are financial concerns, but what does it lead up to?
Well, the so-called Achhe Din for aviation industry in India, in a way, is over in terms of the bottom line. Airline business was never ever profitable. But in India, the growth has been so very good, and I still feel that we have really not grown to the extent we still have the capacity to grow, and is going to grow. I have no doubt about it. But our infrastructure is not as per the rate at which we are growing. For example, the congestion at the airport. My concern is safety, because we have seen in the last week couple of incidences, whether it was Jet Airways or AI 101. There is no doubt about it that AI 101, the pilots were great. I have just no doubt our pilots are very good, but because of the stress, the fatigue level of the pilots, please understand, our pilots are now flying 24/7. So if a domestic pilot flies today at 2 a.m., day after tomorrow his flight could be at 2 p.m. So domestically, earlier international flight used to have jet lag. Now domestically you will have jet lag, and the number of hours they are flying, the number of landings they are doing, and I'm afraid the most unprofessional body is DGCA. They have no competence, they do not have proper people. If you do not get a job at any airline, or if you are retired, where do you go?
So
DGCA.
Lots of points, Dinesh.
So the people who are
it's
supposed,
part of a stressed system,
absolutely,
right?
Totally stressed.
You are talking about the operational end of this environment.
Absolutely.
And it boils down to safety and security, because that's all we care about, right?
We,
ultimately, it's not prices of tickets.
Say, Vishnu, we understand of AI 101 type of thing, but do we know the incidences which take place on a daily basis,
which is never reported because nobody knows about it?
It's absolutely touch and go. So the people who are efficient, those who have taken care of their own safety requirements, they may survive. But others, I'm not very sure. That sometimes you are scared to fight some particular airlines which I don't want to name.
Okay. I just want to go across to Dheeraj Mathur. Dheeraj, it's good to have you on the program as a partner and leader of airspace and defense practices at PricewaterhouseCoopers. What, in your mind, is the immediate future of the Indian civil aviation sector? And let me be more specific than that. Are we headed to another Kingfisher type meltdown for one, if not more, airlines in the present environment?
Yeah, good evening, Vishnu, and thanks for having me over. The numbers certainly indicate, the things that have been happening with the rupee and with the fuel prices, and with this imposition of that 5% basic customs duty yesterday on ATF. Things certainly, the entire industry is headed for some very turbulent weather. But I'm fundamentally an optimist, because if you look at our market, it is so underserved. I mean, I think the per capita seat availability is about 0.5. We're just at the tip of the iceberg, and despite all the problems that we've been facing in the last 6 months, the air traffic has only been growing. Now, there is talk that there's a lot of capacity that's going to be inducted as airlines have placed orders for planes that are going to start coming in from the next couple of months. But if you look at the load factors, everybody barring one or two airlines, Air India, who are in their 80s, but most of the airlines are either in the high 80s or the 90s. So the load factors are looking good. The domestic traffic is growing. What hasn't happened really is that airlines haven't really passed on some of the increased costs to the customers. Now, right. I know Indigo, I think, imposed a surcharge of 400 rupees in May. So we will probably see the airlines, and they must do it if they have to survive. They will have to pass on some of the increased costs on to the consumers. That's the only way they go. But otherwise, definitely for the next 5-6 months, things are going to be tough. And I think the only sensible thing that the airlines can do is cut costs where they can. And I think everybody is doing that. And the other thing is pass on some of the increased costs to the consumers.